Jeopardy! We wrapped up last week with Troy Meyer securing a second win, making him the only player all week to do so. And what a convincing win it was. 31 correct responses, 2 success chess pains, and voting after meals. Troy, you start the game for us.
City name changes for 800, please.
Residents of this University of Oregon City are probably happy it didn't stick with Skinner's Mud Hole. Troy.
What's Eugene?
Yes.
City name for 1,000, please.
An Irish town, once home to a famed medieval book, has been known as both Canonus Moor and this. Troy.
What's Kells?
Book of Kells, you got it.
Side for 800, please.
Heavy skirts and modesty were 2 factors in the use of this piece of equestrian gear. Troy.
What's a side saddle?
Right.
Oscar-winning formula, 800, please.
Matt Dillon plus Tendiway Newton plus Los Angeles divided by bigotry. And
What is traffic?
no. Duncan.
What is Crash?
That's the film, yes.
Medications, 200.
The WHO's essential medicines list has 3 non-opioids for pain: acetaminophen, ibuprofen, and this medicine cabinet veteran. And
What is aspirin?
good.
Medications for 400, please.
If restless, these body parts get their own syndrome affecting 3 million Americans yearly, and the doctor may prescribe gabapentin. And
What are legs?
correct.
Medications for 600, please.
This vitamin may be prescribed in the form of medications such as Replesta for rickets or osteomalacia. Troy.
What's vitamin D?
Right.
City name, 600, please.
The answer there is the Daily Double in the round.
I'd like to make it a true daily double, please.
Oh, off to a fast start and trying to double up early. Here's your clue, Troy, in city name changes. This Moroccan port city was built over a village named Anfa, but that wouldn't have looked as good on a movie marquee.
What's Casablanca?
Yes, it is. $6,400, please.
Chest pains for 800, please.
It took a phone call from Henry Kissinger and a doubling of the prize fund to get this tempestuous American to play his Soviet foe in 1972. Troy.
Who's Bobby Fischer?
Right.
Chest for 1,000, please.
His name signifies newcomer, and this relative newcomer sparked accusations of cheating after a 2022 upset of champ Magnus Carlsen. Troy.
Who's Neiman?
Hans Niemann, very good.
Side for 1,000, please.
In 1957, athlete and future actor Bruce Dern left the Penn track team rather than shave these. And
What are his legs?
no. Troy.
What are his sideburns?
That's correct. Yeah, I don't know what Penn State thinks about running with unshaved legs. Maybe they're all for it.
Chest for 600, please.
In 2008, Ukrainian star Vasily Ivanchuk stormed out of a chess Olympiad rather than submit to one of these tests. Duncan.
What's a drug test?
Right.
Medications for 1,000.
Levodopa, which is converted to dopamine in the brain, is the most effective drug for this motor control disease. Duncan.
What's Parkinson's?
Correct, from our ICU nurse manager.
I should know that, yeah. Medications, 800.
Types of drugs used in this approach to treatment include alkylating agents, mess with cell DNA, and mitotic inhibitors, stop cell division. Duncan.
What is chemotherapy?
That's correct.
Let's do Oscar. Let's do city name changes for 200.
This Arizona city might have been named for Stonewall Jackson, but residents decided that was for the mythical birds. And
What is Phoenix?
that's correct, adding $200 to your score. Big lead so far for Troy, but things can change very quickly in this game, as you know. We'll be right back to chat with the players after this. And Faircloth from Clinton, North Carolina, is a farmer by day, but if I understand this right, your educational background is not in agriculture.
It is not. I have a master's in English and creative writing, which some people wondered why in the world did she ever get into farming, but I like the dichotomy. I do have a novel that I started back with that master's degree, and someday I'm going to finish it.
Do you ever finish feeding the hogs or whatever it is, and then you come in and hammer out a chapter on the novel?
It's pretty hard for my brain to jump from one to the other that fast.
I can imagine, unless it's a novel about farmers.
There you go.
You never know. Maybe you need to introduce some farmers in the second act. Duncan Bowling from Washington, D.C., an ICU nurse manager.
Yep.
I understand I am your nemesis, Duncan, and I was not notified.
Yeah, I hate to break it to you, but back back in your original run on Jeopardy, I was a high school quiz bowl contestant, and whenever we would slack off in practice, my coach, Ms. Waller, would always say, "How do you think Ken Jennings got so far?" It was not by slacking off. And so your name elicited a lot of eye rolls from me back in the day. But I'm glad we can put the past in the past today.
If your Quiz Bowl coach is watching, I slacked off a ton in high school. I'm so sorry to pop your bubble. Troy Meyer, the champion, is a music executive from Tampa. Now, you've already won a fair chunk of change on Jeopardy, but I understand the show changed your life in a different way already.
That's right, yeah. So my wife, Genevieve, who's in the audience today, we met while she was preparing to be on the show, sort of in the dark days of the internet, like 13 years ago. And actually, the first time I ever saw her sort of in like live animation was on TV. And yeah, we like got together, and it was featured in the.
It's getting colder, and Burlington, you know, the place for coats, will keep you warm.
New York Times, actually, and yeah, like it changed my life, and I had the show to thank,
And lo, these many years later, here you are.
yeah, here I am. Yeah, I made it.
Well done. And you gave us the last correct response. Let's get you back in the positive. Go ahead and make a selection for us.
Oscar-winning formula for 1,000, please.
Claudette Colbert plus Clark Gable minus an undershirt. Troy.
What is it happened one night?
Yes.
Side for 200, please.
A straight man, like Gromit to Wallace. Duncan.
What is a side character?
No. Troy.
What's a sidekick?
Right.
City name, 400, please.
When it was founded in the 1600s, New York City was known by this two-word name, reflecting its early colonial heritage. Duncan.
What is New Amsterdam?
Yes, settled by the Dutch.
Let's do chest pains for 200.
Alexander Alyakin was said to have resigned a game not by tipping this piece over, but by hurling it across the room. Troy.
What's the king?
Good.
Chess, 400, please.
Alexandru Krishan was stripped of the coveted title International This after allegations he'd attained it by fixing games. Duncan.
Was Grandmaster?
Yes.
Voting after meals for 200.
After a meal of legumes with friends, it might be best to strategically position yourself ali, meaning away from this. Anne.
What is the win?
That's right.
Voting for 400, please.
After a lovely meal, time for drinks on this place where the controls are. The captain calls it the cockpit. Duncan.
Was the bridge?
Yes.
Voting 600.
To slow things down after dinner, find this type of place to stop the boat. Also the name of a big Alaskan city. Troy.
What's Anchorage?
Right?
Voting 800, please.
Everyone had a cocktail with dinner, so while up top on deck, it's a good idea to wear one of these, PFD for short. Troy.
What's a personal flotation device?
Correct.
1,000, please. Voting.
Once a word for a sailing boat off India's coast, this little vessel will shuttle you to shore after breakfast. Duncan.
What's a dinghy?
Good for 1,000.
Oscar-winning formula for 600.
Dustin Hoffman plus Meryl Streep divided by divorce. Anne.
What is Kramer versus Kramer?
Right.
Oscar for 400, please.
Jean Dujardin plus Berenice Bejo minus audible conversations. Troy.
What's the artist?
You're correct.
Formula 200, please.
Tom Hanks plus a feather times history. Anne.
What is,
No. Troy.
What's Forrest Gump?
Yes, yeah, I got it.
Side 400, please.
Seen here, this piece of furniture can be useful in the dining room. Troy.
What's a sideboard?
Right.
600 side.
The final clue. This American desert snake is a horned variety of rattlesnake. Troy.
What's a sidewinder?
That's correct. A very strong Jeopardy round for you, Troy. Duncan and Anne have some catching up to do in Double Jeopardy when we come back.